Yo, what's good guys? Theo here, and in this video I'm going to build out a full MERN stack application. Actually not really MERN, we're going to be using React, Postgres, Express, and Node. And instead of your basic to-do application, I'm going to build a country application where a user, again no authentication, where a user can enter a country and a continent, and that'll be about it. So very simple, but we're going to connect everything together. So with that said, let me change it into my directory. Use the create React app and call it countries. I'm going to build two apps actually. It's going to be our React application, and I'm also going to wire up our API, which is going to be built with Postgres and with Postgres API. Postgres and Express and Node. So let me touch a server JS file, npm init y to set up a package.json, and let me install body parser Morgan, PG for Postgres, the driver, and then I also need Express, and I think that is about it. Let's go ahead and run save. So in order to do this, we need to have PostgreSQL for Postgres. We also need to have this application here, which is going to run Postgres server, and this is a graphical user interface for Mac. So I'm going to open up both of these. I'm not really going to go through this, but once you have this and you have your server running, you can look at your settings here. This is the port, this is the name of it. So now we have an instance of Postgres running. I'm going to continue this trial in here, and I'm going to connect to localhost. I was just trying something out, and I can see my databases here. And if I go down to my tables and I hit users here, I can query all the users and so on. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead in here, and I want to actually, let me see, where is it? I want to build out a new table in here. So let me think, where is this in query? Where can I do this? Okay, file, connect, localhost. What is it giving me the option to? A new database. Where can I run my new database? Data, view, file, new tab, open, new connection data. Where can I add a new database? Let me think where I can do this in here. I don't know why it doesn't have it in here. Preferences, appearance, PG admin. Let me go in here then and do pSQL. Let me open this up. No, it's not in there. So let me do, I think if I open it up in here, I can go DT, and that's my users table, create DB, and we'll call it countries. And now, sorry, DT, create DB, hold on, let me do it. pSQL create DB. I was using PG admin earlier today, and I'm pretty brand new to it, but let's look at how we can do this. Create database, test DB. Okay, so let's do this. We'll do create. I don't like working in this shell that much, but create database, and we'll say countries, and DT, and let me go back here, and let's refresh this. It's still not in there. Let me look in here. Postgres, create a server. Where can I add a new database in here? I'm not sure. Let's see. pSQL. think of it, yeah, if I do this and then I say countries, and then let's look at the database in there. Postgres name, Theo Anderson. Still not. Test DB template 1. Let me go ahead and try this again. Let's refresh. Alright, let me just look it up real quick. So we'll say SQL Pro Postgres create new database, and let's see how we can do this. SQL Pro Database Manager and create a new database. Let's see if we can find this. Let's go back and we will say databases were created. Create database command. Do I have pgadmin? I have pgadmin. Maybe I could just do it in there real quick. Let me open that up. It's been a long time since I've used Postgres. Okay, so let's sort of see if we can connect in here. And we'll say Postgres local host password, and let's hit connect. Okay, it's connecting. Okay, we got our server group, server not found, and Postgres databases. Let me create a new database in here. I'm not sure how to do it. And we'll just say countries and definition. That's good. Countries DB SQL. Okay. Definition variables privileges public. All right. So we've created our countries database. And let me go ahead in here and see now if I can find it in Postgres. There we go. So now I'm going to go out of there. Sorry about that for the hiccups. So we don't have any tables in here, but let's build out a table. And we're just going to call it, I don't know. We'll say, see if I can rename this actually. No, I can't name it. Import new table. We'll just say, I don't know. Let's see. What's a good name for a table or database? It's called countries, but let me go out of here. Countries. Can I rename it? No, can't rename it. All right. Let's see. Schema name, table name, new table, and basically, table is just gonna be called. We'll say country, whatever. Kind of dumb, I guess. Okay, so we got our table here, and it's called country. And if I go here to alter table, this is what we have so far. We have this, sort of primary key, but I'm gonna get rid of that actually. Yes, I would like to drop the index. It's not letting me. Primary auto increment. And let me see if I can get rid of this completely. Why is it not letting me? Oh, okay. So we'll just say, here is going to be the name. We'll say country name, and this can be a varchar. And next up, we will have a continent name, and this can be a varchar as well, if it lets me, varchar. And finally, we will have this ID, which is going to be, we'll just say, if I can come in here and edit this, we'll just say numeric. and this will be the this will be our primary key. Again, you could use auto incrementing field. I'm just going to do this now. So with all that, we can sort of query our database, and we have nothing in there right now, but you can sort of see this is the interface to query, and we've got our Postgres server running in the background. So with all these tools in place, let me go in here to our Postgres API and build this out for us. We've got our package.json set up. So I'm going to say let express equals require express, let body parser equals require body parser, let Morgan equals require Morgan, let app equal express. To instantiate our application, we're just going to apply some middleware body parser.json. We're also going to say body parser.url encoded. And here we're just going to say extended true. Let me space this out a little bit. I also want to allow CORS, which is the cross-origin resource requesting. And by default, this is going to be set. This is not going to be set. So basically we pass this in the headers, and what this will allow us to do is to request from our React, our client side, all the way back to our Postgres and Express API. And I kind of like request and response a little bit more. So let me just put those in there. And maybe we'll have a const port 3000. We also need to bring in Postgres. So we'll say let PG equals require PG. Require PG. And let me get that semicolon out of there. Let me use Morgan for some logging. Morgan and dev. And with that, I can set it up to app.listen port, and we will just say const.log list name and port plus port. And with that, I can go ahead and run node-mon server.js and see if I get any errors listening on port 3000. Cool. Let me think what else I need to do. I need to actually connect with my Postgres client, or my Postgres database. So here I can say let pool equal a new PG dot what am I looking for? New PG dot pool, and this is going to give me access to that pooling resource, which is going to basically check how many connections we have open. And here we can pass this an object, and we can say port 5432, which is the port, password. I don't really care if you guys see it. So Theo database is going to be countries, and I think I messed this up because I didn't when I created it. Let me look real quick. SQL Pro, select all from countries, new query. What is it telling me? Select all from countries. Let me just make sure this works. Public.countries. I think we have to index it like that. That sucks. Alright, let me do this then. Let me actually change, let me drop this database, and I want to go back in here to pgadmin, and I'm going to rename it with the quotes so I don't have to reference it with the schema type. My bad. Let me connect. Okay, great. Yeah, because I'm using 3. Got it. Whatever. There we go. Let me build out a new database, and we'll just say countries, and I want to preface it with the quotes. And countries DB with quotes. And there we go. We got our countries DB. Cool. refresh this again. Sorry about that. We got countries now. And I can build out a new table. And again, we'll just say country. And we build these out again. And we'll say ID, which is going to be numeric. It's not going to be a default for this. Why is it telling me that crap? Okay. It'll be our primary key, but I don't think we're going to have any joins really. And then we'll have a country, or yeah, we'll just have country name. And this will be, like I've said before, the varchar. And finally, we'll have one more field called continent name. And again, we'll have varchar. All right. So with all that, go ahead and query this database again. Select all from country. Okay, that's what we're selecting. Cool. So now I can say countries is our database, and I want to have a max of 10 connections. And I think with that, that should give us access to it. Let me make sure it's not giving me any errors. New pg.pool. Let me just change the pool, see what happens. Okay, cool. New pg.pool. Just to sort of query our database, I can show us what's in it. I can say pool dot client and, or sorry, what is the method? Let me look at this actually. I honestly forget. This is like literally just started using it this morning. So we can say PG. This is how I find out how to query it. And there's a promise one as well. So let's look PG, oh sorry, new PG client. But you can also create, yeah, we're gonna create a pool user. Yeah, I need to give it one more thing. I need to give it the user and the host. Okay, so let me say host is localhost, and then user, it's gonna be Postgres. And to run it, we're going to call connect on it. So I can say pool.connect, and this will take in a callback function which has an error. The database, they call it client. It makes more sense to me to call it DB. And then a done method. And basically the done method, what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to, sort of tell Postgres that we have issued the query. So here we'll just say if error, also log error, and we probably just want to return because we haven't actually opened anything. Otherwise, I want to call db.query, and the way this works, there's a couple of different options, but what I can do here is I can write some SQL, so I can say select all from country, and then the next parameter here I can say error or table. So again, if there's an error, let's just return with the console log of the error. Otherwise, let's look at the table information that we're getting. So with all that, missing argument, my bad. Pool.connect, and that's because I'm using the ES6. All right, and I missed something else. db.query. All right, so what does it tell me? Countries does not exist. Database countries does not exist. Pretty sure it does exist, but let me look at this. Select all from countries. Let me run this. Select all from countries. Select all. Fresh. select all from country, limit 100, and let's just say, let me just try this out. Database, why is it telling me database countries does not exist? Error, database countries does not exist. All right. Okay, let me look at this again. Country, am I still getting the same error? Countries does not exist. Why the heck does it not exist? User, sorry, so we have our user and the database. User, database, port, max, and then host will go before the port. I don't think this is it, obviously. I'm just trying to look at everything. If error, db.query, client.query, and then inside of here we'll just say done actually. Database countries, and why is that? Okay. Alright, let's look at this again. What do you mean it doesn't exist? Let me just try and change this to user Postgres name, Postgres, and then database countries does not exist. That's kind of strange. Alright, whatever. I'm not going to fight with this. Let me just change it to Theo Anderson. And inside of here, I don't want to keep us doing this all night. I'm going to build out my table once again. And sorry about this, guys. And inside of here, I'm just going to kind of call it countries. And again, I can get rid of all this. ID, numeric, and then finally, we have country name, and we're going to have varchar, and then finally, we're going to have continent name, and we're just going to have varchar as well. All right, so that's good. Let me see if this works now. Let's look at what we're getting now. Relation country does not exist. So select all from public country, or sorry, from countries. What am I getting now? Okay, it actually is working now, but we don't have any data or any rows in there. Here's our rows column, right? So I can actually say console log table.rows, and this will show me we have an empty array. I can insert into countries actually, so I can build out. I'll show you guys this. Let's build out some data, and I'm going to say var country name is equal to Spain. Var continent name is going to be equal to Europe, and then var ID is going to be equal to math.random dot toFixed. 3 places, and again, it's not the best way to get a random number, but it doesn't really matter. And what I can do here, I can say insert into countries, and then the values I want to insert the country name, the continent name, and the ID. And then the next parameter that I can pass in an array of values. So here I will just say, and then I can say values, and then I can say inside of here I can say 1, 2. Let me go over here, and I can say 3. And the values inside of here will correspond to 1, 2, 3. So I can say country, name, continent name, and ID. So with all of that, that's good. I'd say the one thing you might want to change is you don't really need to log out the table.rows. You can just console log inserted data success. And you probably want to call db.end to close the connection. So let's run this again, inserted data success, and let's see if it actually is a success here. So let me query countries. There we go. We're getting Spain, Europe, and ID. So it is working. And if I were to change this to Portugal, run this again, inserted data, and if I run this query again, here we go. We're getting Spain and Portugal. Awesome. So, and we have 2 unique IDs, and I think it'll be good enough for this application. So, any other thing I can do, let me take all of this back. I can come in here, and let me just select all from countries. Now, if I run this command, here we go. We are actually getting all of our countries here, where we're getting Spain, Europe. So I can say table.rows. I can actually do, I should be able to do, I don't know if that'll clean it up a little bit. Nah, let's not do that. We'll just do table.rows 0, right? We want to see the first row, and that's what it is, and we can actually get country name. And there we go. That's how we can get our data back. Cool. So we can sort of ignore this for now. We don't really need to use it. With all of that said, let's come back here and let's go into countries. And we're going to open this up with Sublime as well. And this is where our application is going to really start to take off. So I can come in here. I can get rid of all of this. And I'm going to change this to Babel and JSX. And I can just say h1, hello from React. I'm going to write all of this in one component because it's a very simple application, but you're free to do it however you want. Run npm start, and it's already running. So let's open this up here in 3001. Okay. And this should load. And there we go. We got hello from React. And again, this is going to be a Webpack server. Everything is going to be hot reloaded. So if I say React DDD, it's going to hot reload it. So what I want to do actually is call this constructor method, which is provided with the ES6 class implementation. And I'm going to sort of build out my state. And inside of here, I'm just going to have 2 properties. I'm going to have countries, which is an empty array, and I'm going to have title, which is going to be simple CRUD app or simple country application. And with that, I'm going to get an error because we haven't actually invoked super, which is going to call the React component class. And what does it tell me? I don't have a comma. I think that was it. I don't know. Do we need super? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so cool. That's good. I'm also going to create this method here called, let me actually do it down here. We're going to say component did mount, and this is a lifecycle hook, which means it's going to happen right before the DOM is rendered. So this is where we'll make all of our AJAX calls. And so inside of here, we have component did mount, which say component has mounted. And if I go in here and inspect element, and I open up my console, here we go, component is not mounted. Let me get rid of that logo. And let's build out our simple UI. So first, want to pass in props and say props, and here I'm just going to say, actually no, I don't even need props, sorry about that. What I want to do in my render method is I'm going to say let title equals this dot state dot title, and we're just going to bind state of title here, so should get simple country application. Okay, that's good. Next up, we want to do, remember we're trying to implement three things here: a read, a delete, and a create. Okay, so I guess this is not a full CRUD. Basically, I just want to show the more useful ones for this simple application. So we're doing a create, read, and delete, so CRD. Okay, so let me build out this form for us, very similar to what I did the other night in my application. And I'm going to give this form a ref of country form. And it's going to have two inputs of type text. And this is going to have a ref of country name and placeholder of country name. And we're going to create one more. A placeholder of continent name. With all that, I'm going to create a button. You could create an input type of submit, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to say on click, and I'm going to say this dot add country. And I'm going to bind this. Okay, so that say add country. Make sure we're not getting any errors. We're probably going to error say it does not exist. What is it telling me? Cannot read property bind of undefined. And I should be getting that error because we don't actually have this method. So we'll say add country. Let's see if that gets rid of it. There we go. So the default action for form, like we talked about, is to submit. So let's prevent our form from submitting. And let me grab our values like we did the other night. Say console log in method. So here we go. If we, what does it tell me? This dot add country dot bind this, and we say prevent default. Oh, sorry, I didn't actually invoke it. So let me run this again. Add country in method. All right. Let me get our data out. So we'll say let data is going to be equal to, I'm just going to box this up really nicely. And so we'll say country name is going to be equal to this dot refs dot country name dot value, and we'll say continent continent name, and again I need to actually, oh sorry, yeah, continent name is going to be equal to this dot refs dot continent name dot value. So we got all of that boxed up. Next thing we need to do, again we're not doing a whole lot of validation here, but that's not really the point, is we're going to build out our request. So I'm going to say var request is equal to a new request. And again, this is a browser API implementation of XML HTTP request. And so the way this works, first thing we will pass in is where we want to make a request to. And so this will be localhost 3000. It's going to be /API/new country. We're going to build that out soon. And then the next parameter is a configuration object. So it'll take a few things. Let's take a method of post. Then from there, we'll also have, sorry about that, we go back. We will have headers that we need to send. So we'll say new headers. Again, this is another browser object. And inside of here, we'll say content type. What are we sending? We're sending application or JSON. And the final thing that we need to send is, you can also say cache, true, whatever you want, but we're not going to cache that. And here we can say body. What we're sending along is json.stringify. We're going to prepare the request. Data. Okay, so we've set up our request. And now we're going to send it using another browser API called fetch. And this is a more modern implementation of the XML HTTP request. All of that, if you've ever done that. So with that, we're going to say fetch request. And fetch actually returns to us a promise. And first we have to transform that response into JSON. And then when it's been transformed, we're going to get some data out. So we can go ahead and log that data. So let's look at what we've done here with all of that. And what is it telling me? Let data, because I do not need. Yeah, that's right. All right. So let's go back and build out this endpoint. So let me go back here, and we want API new country. Okay, so I can say app.post to /API /new country. And again, this is taking a function with a request and a response. And just to actually make sure that we're getting in there, let's just log out the request.body. So that's good. And it should not be getting any errors. Cool. So let's come back here. Let's open up our iTerm and go back here. And we'll say country.name, Spain and Europe. Click add country. And because we've set everything up, we are now getting a country name and a continent name. So our data is coming through to our API. So basically, I'm going to create this now. I'm going to say var data. Well, I'll just create it right here. I'll say var country name is going to be equal to request.body.country name. Var continent name is going to be equal to request.body.continent name. Var ID is going to be equal to math.random.toFixed. And again, 3. And with all of that, we can go back in here and we can grab this. Okay. And I might be writing this twice, I guess, but for a very simple application, I don't think it matters that much. Let's see what we need in here. So we're going to, again, connect to our pool and let me get rid of all that. And here, what we're going to do, we're going to say insert into countries. We're going to pass it the country name, the continent name, and the ID. And then we want values, which is, again, going to correspond to 1, 2, and 3. And finally, our array of values here, which, again, will have country name, continent name, and let me try it actually with the spread operator. I'm kind of curious. We'll just say let values equals country name, continent name, ID. I'm kind of curious to see if this works. We're going to spread out our values. So we'll say .values. And with that, call done, and then we're going to console log data inserted, and we're going to call db.n to close our connection. So that is good. Let me come back in here and make sure that this is not going to run. Let's see what it does. So it shouldn't have run. Let me come back in here. Run this, select all from country, Spain and Portugal, that's fine. So let me try this again, and we'll just say, yo, I'm in the DB. So now, if we hit add country, here we go, we've got data inserted. That's a good sign. And let's click country. We've got yo, I'm in the DB. data inserted. Awesome. And we probably want to respond with something to the user, obviously. So here we could do response.status with 201, and we will send back data inserted. And return response.status with 400. Send error, and then here we could also send status 400. Send error. All right, so with all of that, that should be enough to get us started. And again, we could just say, do some more dummy data in here. Here we go, and uncut, and promise. And I think the reason why is because we're expecting some JSON. So let me try that one more time. Message, and here I can come in here, and that's why. All right, so that's our message. So let me go back to the client side. And how I can do this, again, if we get some data out, then that's good. But, you know, if we get an error, let's log out the error. Okay, I guess you could catch it at this level too, but I'm kind of thinking that if we have a response, then we're going to get JSON out of it. And, you know, if we have this data, what I can do, I can go ahead and I can push this onto our state. So I can say let countries, let me see where I can get this, let countries equals this dot state dot countries, and then I can do countries dot concat, what do I want to concat on? Let's see, what do I want to concat on? Actually, you know what? I will pass in the ID at this level, and we'll say math.random.toFix, just so that I can have access to it here. And cat data, and then, but I want to go back here, and then I'm going to change this real quick. I'm going to say request.body.id. Make sure I'm not getting any errors here. Probably getting no error on that side yet. And then here I can do this dot set. I think I'm going to get an error because I have an invalid this context, but I can just say countries will be equal to countries. So with all of that working, I'm going to say France and Europe. Click add country. And cannot property of state undefined, and again, that is because our this context is incorrect. So we'll say var that is equal to this. And I can say that and that. So with all of that, let me try and say Bulgaria and Europe. Click here, add country. It's added it. Looks like everything's worked. Say the only other thing that we'd like to do is display our countries in here. So I'm going to create a pre-tag, and inside of here I can do a nifty trick. I can call JSON.stringify, and we grab our countries. So I'll say let countries equal this dot state dot countries, and into here I can say countries. So now I should get an empty array on first pass, but if I say China and Asia, hit add country, it's not updating. And why is that the case? Countries.concat, let's console.log countries at this point and figure out where my logic has gone wrong. So let me say Canada and North America, click add country, and we must be getting something wrong. Post API new country, everything is working, but state.countries, it's not running for some reason. Why is that? Fetch. Let me log the countries before the request. This.state.countries. Let's try this again with some gibberish. So here, 35 and 42. 42, we still get an empty array. So maybe if I do countries.concat data, no, that should work, right? Let me just log out. I think I know what's wrong. So what? Yeah. So we need to actually. I'm gonna call this. Let's country data. That's why. Just getting confused with the context. Country data. And we'll say country data. And let me console.log countries here. Re-render, and we'll say txt, add country 41. We're still getting an empty array. And why is that? Let me log out what country data is. Really messing up, I guess. Say yo and yo. So it is an object. Continent name, but why is it not? Countries.push. Theo. Okay. I don't know why it didn't fire the first time though. That was kind of weird. Country name, continent name, James and James. It's not firing. That's really weird. It's not firing the first time, but it fires the second. Push. Fetch request. Country is equal. So it's something in here, I'm guessing. Then function data, because waiting for everything to come back. That's why. So maybe what I can do is for this JSON response, I can set it at that level. Maybe that's smarter to do. After we get a response, right? I can just now say Luke and Luke, add country, and again, it's still kind of slow. So maybe just to simulate everything, I can go in here and say, I can do it right here at this level, just to sort of get an idea of what happens. James and James. Click add country. Alright, yeah, so something going on with my asynchronous calls. So we're just going to sort of simulate that. So now what I want to do, I want to create one more method that basically what we're going to do here, component did mount. This is where we're going to make this request. So save our request, new request. It's going to be very similar. And actually, sorry, this is going to be a fetch actually, and this is going to be to HTTP localhost 3000/countries. Then function response.json. Then, and we're going to get the data out of there, and we're going to grab our data. And what is it telling me? What it's telling me right now, basically, is we do not have the endpoint set up, API countries. So let me go back into our API and build out that route. So we'll say app.get to/API/countries function rec and res, and I can connect to my pool again. Pool.connect. I'm going to make this a little bit more defined here, just so everyone can see it. And again, we'll say if there's an error, let's return with a response.status 400. Okay, send the error. Bring that back. Otherwise, we're going to query again. So say db.query, and we're going to say select all from countries. And again, so we'll either get an error or a table. And if there's an error, again, we can call it done right here. If there's an error, let's go ahead and return with the response.status 400.send the error. Otherwise, let's return with a response.status of 200.send table.rows. All right, so with all that, if I come back in here and make a change, this will trigger the component to render. And let's see what we get. Let's see. Okay, so now we got all of our objects. This is indeed our data. Pretty awesome. Getting all of that data back from Postgres, and you can see it being hit. So when we get this data, again, I'm going to do var that equals this to bind that. And again, if anyone knows a better way, again, I'm pretty brand new to this stuff. We want to update this array right now, okay? So once we get this data back, I'm going to say let countries equals that dot state dot countries, and I'm going to say countries dot concat. What am I going to concat with? The data, and it's because it's an array. And then finally, we're just going to say that dot set state countries. It's going to be countries. So let's make sure this works for us. So now we should see all of our countries populated here. And we're not seeing it. So why not? Countries.concat data. Let's look. Let me log out the countries first. Might have done it in the wrong call. So we're getting null at this point. State.countries. And what is data? Let's look at what data is. Data is that 22. Actually, you know what we want to do? We can actually do this. We can do that.set state countries. And we can set it to data. So check this out. Now, there we go. We got all of our countries right there. And did I not close the pre-tag or something? JSON.stringify. And yeah, there's all of our countries. I guess they're kind of ugly looking, but now let's go ahead and map over our countries. So here I can do, oh, that's why it's in a form, my bad. So I can do pre, and then I can do JSON.stringify countries, and wrap this again in a pre tag. We can see this a little bit nicer now. Watch this. No, I guess not. Okay, whatever. Anyways, let's build out a unordered list. Unordered list, and inside of here I can do some JSX. So I can do countries.map, and this is going to take in country, and we want to create an li with the country.country name. Let's just make sure we're getting all of this out here right now. And I want to break out an li, and I'm going to give it a key again for better rendering, and it's going to be country.id. So let's make sure this works. LIs. There we go. We're getting all of our stuff, and it is indeed rendering it. You can see in here, here's our li, React Text, Spain. You know, we've got all of our stuff. I think if we even look at React at this point, there's our key. There's all our different keys in there. Awesome. So that is working. I like that. You know, maybe the other thing we want to render out is the country dot. What do we want to render out? The continent name. And all right, that's cool. And then finally, you know, maybe we want to say, you know, Postgres and dbland. So now what happens if we hit add country? It's added on there. Awesome. Let's look actually in our, so it gives the illusion, right? Because we don't want to make another call to the database just for that. That can always be called on refresh. Now if I come in here and refresh this, and what is it telling me now? What is it telling me? Countries.map is not a function. So I think what I did actually is that I closed the pool on when I add a new country. So let me do this. Let me try this out. I don't want to close it just for this case. So let me refresh. There we go. Say yo, 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 yo. Click add country. And now if I refresh, there we go. We got all of our countries back. So I'd say the only thing left to do now is our delete method. And so I can come back in here to, to our countries. And I can build this method. And I can say on click, I'm going to say this dot remove country dot bind. I don't want to create any specific context here, and I can just say I want to pass the country.id, and then I can just say remove button. With all of that, let me make sure I got this right. Button country.id, button on click, and there we go. So now we're going to get all of our countries, and again, something went wrong. Let's look. Let's look at this. Canary property bind of undefined. So we need to create the method. That's what it's telling us. So let me make this remove country. And now it'll refresh. Get all of our data back. And so here we have this remove, but we don't actually have anything. But let's look at what this is in the remove. It's null. So let me bind actually this to it. Now it's our app. Okay, cool. So in our remove, we're going to build out a request again. But first, we want to find our country. So we're going to say, well, I guess we don't. Yeah, we can find our country. So we'll say var country equals this dot state. Or first, I don't want to mutate the state directly. So we'll say let countries. So this dot state dot countries. And then I'm going to say what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do countries dot find index. I'm going to do countries dot find function country, and I'm going to return where the country dot ID is equal to this ID. And let me say let country, and let me log out the specific country so we know which one we're clicking on. All right, with all that. So if I say Spain and Europe, there we go, I get Spain and Europe. If I say Luke and Luke, I get Luke. All right, so we've got that ready. And then we'll splice it at the very end. Okay, so now what I want to do, I want to set up a request again. So I'm going to say var request equals a new request, and here we're going to go to HTTP localhost 3000/API/remove, and then again, we're going to set up everything. So we need to do, let me think what we need to do. We need to do a method of delete. We also need to do, let's see how I can do this. I can do, let me look, new request, delete. Let's look at how to do this. New request, delete, and mdn request, delete. Let's look. See how we can handle the delete on here. Our request, get head delete. All right. How do I pass it along? Let me look. Request methods. is any data about it. Let's see what the put. No. We'll do fetch and delete. Maybe I can just do it with fetch. Let's see. Request. It's a get, and then let me think. Request. New request and delete. Where can I find it? Let's look. Streaming. Get. Let me see. I just started this repo the other day. I think I brought it up. Let me see if I can find it in her repo real quick. Source, API, cats. Where'd she do? Delete, create cat, delete cat. Okay, here it is. Method delete. And that was it. Oh, and then she just appended it on to the end. Okay, cool. So then I could do request remove. I can do, what do I want to remove? Just the ID. Okay. So, yeah, that's good. Yeah, okay, and then run fetch on it. Okay, cool. So that's all we really need to delete it. So I can say fetch request dot then function response dot json dot then function data, and then we'll just console log success deleting, or maybe we'll just log out the data at that point. So let's try it out. Let's go back to our API, and we're going to do API remove, and then it's going to take in an ID. So again, we will have this method app.delete to /API/remove ID, and it's taking a function with a rec and res. We're going to grab the ID, so we'll say var ID equals request.params.id, and make sure we're actually getting in here. Select ID. So let me look at this. We're going to go back to our React app. I'm going to refresh this. I'm going to click Spain, Portugal, remove. And we are getting, let me try and look at what we're getting. And why are we not getting request.params? Let me look. So let me figure out what's the problem here. Localhost 3000 API method delete is not allowed. Why is it not letting me? Oh, I think I know what we need to do. So we need to do, say, cores express delete. That's why. So let me say app.get, app.use cores. Let me just install it real quick. Install cores --save, and then we'll do app.use cores. Let cores equals require cores. We'll do app.use cores. And then do I need to invoke it or what? All right, cool. And let's run our server again. Awesome. Come back here, refresh this, and there we go. And now we're getting 0.309. Awesome. We're getting all of the correct data we want. So we got our ID. We're going to pull the client again, or our database, and function error_db done. Simple methods we've been using. Return response.status.send error, and again, sorry, let me do this 400. Else, we're going to do db.query. What do we want to delete? Delete, let me run this. Postgres delete. Let me look up the syntax real quick. And what we want to do, I want to delete from table where, okay, so we'll say delete from countries where, what do I need to do here? I can do where table ID is equal to, okay, so I can say where country, delete from countries where country dot ID is equal to, let me look up this on the actual npm, let me look up pg, and let me look at this for the delete method on here real quick. Let's look, pg delete, let's look at what it is. Let's see. So delete from function where user equals 1. Okay. And then, okay, cool. So looks like we can do where country ID equals 1, and then, sorry, we'll do that, and then we'll pass it in ID. Make sure this is right. Function where user in. Okay, cool. ID, that's the first value, and then function error, and what is it going to be? Result. If error, let's return with a response.status 400 and send the error. Otherwise, return with a response.status of 200.send, and message is going to be success, and deleting record. Alright, so with that, come back here, and let's rerun this again. And here we're going to click Spain, and reading an error. And why is it telling me that? Parse relation error missing. Why is it telling me that? Let's go back here and look. Country is assigned a value but never used. Okay. Remove. Let's look and see if we're getting Spain though. Back. Yeah, we're still getting Spain. Parse relation error missing. Why is it telling me an error? Let's look at this real quick. I'm guessing it's because it's a string. Let's figure this out. So I think what I need to do actually is change this to just ID. Let me try this out again. Rerun this, I'm going to click Spain, and it's going to tell me self.values.map is not a function. Type error. And what if we run number on this? I'm kind of curious to see if that works. I'm thinking that's what it is. Let me try and run Spain and remove. What is the error though? Console log error. Console log error. Delete from countries where country.id. Let's try this again. Come down here and do Spain. Missing from clause from table country. So delete from countries. Delete from countries. Missing from clause entry for table country. Oh, where ID, maybe I need that, just that. Delete from countries where ID is equal to 1. Okay, and then let me try this again, Spain, remove. Okay, it deleted our record. Now if we refresh, there we go, it's gone, that worked. So the last thing we need to do before we wrap up this like behemoth of a video and my computer dies is, let me, where did my other window go? ReactJS, country server, okay. So, cool. Now when we get that data, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me just log out of this context real quick to make sure I'm not crazy. So it's undefined. Okay, cool. So let me do bar of that equals this. And in here I can do, make sure it's deleted. I'm just going to check it at this level. And I'm going to say, see if this works. I might have to set it above. I'm going to do we got our countries. So I'm going to do countries dot splice country and 1. And then I'm going to do that set state countries is countries. So with all that, it should work. Let's try it out. We'll do France and Europe. And we're off by 1, it looks like. Why is that the case? Let me see if this works. Let me try removing all these. Okay, so let me do Spain and Europe. We're going to test out our application. We're going to do France and Europe, add country. We're going to do Thailand and Asia. So we got a few different records. Let me refresh. And we're not getting our records anymore, and I'm not sure why. And I think because we've been pulling it too many times. That's probably why. Select all from countries. And why is that? Move country. Oh, okay. So when we actually query, I think we didn't call done. I don't think we closed anything. Okay. And function data. Console.log data. Countries.splice, country and 1. Okay, so we're getting all of our countries back. And now for run Theo and Theo. And it's giving me the wrong one though. Let me see. Countries.index of console.log countries.index of country. Let me see what that gives me. So if I say yo 0. Okay, so maybe we'll do it like this. We'll do countries.splice countries.index of country. I guess I was performing it incorrectly. And now if I do James and James, there we go. Deleting all of these correctly. And if I hit refresh here, we have nothing in our database. I can prove that. Doing here, we have nothing left. Do Spain and Europe. I can do France and Europe, and I can do Chile and South America. Query my database one more time. There we go. Got all of our countries there. Do France. I can remove it. It's gone. And there we go. Spain and Chile, and then I can say France, Europe as well. I can add my country there. And there we go. It's been removed. So I guess the only thing that would be left to implement is right when you add a country, you probably want to create some sort of page reload or a better UI. So because if I add a country now, and if I remove it, it's still going to give off the impression that I removed it, and it will work because it's already in the database, I guess, but maybe a better UI experience would work better. I don't know. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.